Good morning, fanboys and fangirls, and welcome back to Nerds on Topic. Today I'm bringing you the wonderful adventure of the Golden Sun. Oh man, there we go. That's a good morning right there. The last little bit of my CFP that I got from Driftaway Coffee, the chocolate honey tangerine. I would have to say this is my second favorite so far of the coffees that I've tasted from them. And oh man, it is so good, especially with a little bit of cream and sugar. So, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Kevin, your solo nerd for Nerds on Topic, as you all probably already know. I'm so happy I got my microphone and headset to start working together again, so I can actually hear myself as I'm recording this, and it makes me feel so good. Oh, man, how have you guys been? I've been doing all right. Just, getting through the normal stuff. Did you realize that this is not just the third episode of the month, or I should say third topic episode of the month, but it is also the 20th episode. 20. And I've been putting out 2 a week, so this has been 10 weeks I've been doing this, guys. I really hope that I keep doing this, because I've been having a lot of fun. Sure, it's a little bit stressful doing all the research on top of my normal, 40-hour-a-week job, but, it feels so worth it. I'm really glad to have all of my listeners and everyone who supports me, everyone who comments on the posts and interacts with me on a regular basis. It feels good. Oh, man. So, for those who don't know, this is Nerds on Topic, and this is specifically one of the topic episodes. And this is the third episode of the video game month, or the second season, or I should say first official season of Nerds on Topic. And this is for Golden Sun. So I do a shit ton of research. I do enough research to where I am meddling in the affairs of, certain antagonists who are looking to capture the 4 elemental star shards and reawaken the possibly destructive forces of the world, only to find out that none of that is actually true and that it's actually beneficial. Yeah. So I'm glad to know that everything I'm doing right now is very beneficial for the world. I wouldn't want to be meddling in the affairs of anything else, now would I? So I am getting into a game that I have actually a little bit of a history with, and I'll be getting in that in a little bit. But first I want to talk for a sec. You guys know that this is October, and for the people who are listening to this in the future, I recorded this in October of 2018 to be specific, and I've been participating in Inktober. So it's been, 15, 16 days now, and I have officially caught up on all of my art, and it makes me feel good. So you guys can all check that out on my Instagram, of course, on at Not Coffee. That's coffee with a K. Make sure to check me out there. Just if you see one of my posts, just put hey, I heard you on Nerds on Topic in one of the little comment boxes there. I'll know, and I'll be happy because I'll know that I'm not doing this for nothing. Yeah. Oh, 1 second. I need to get a little bit more of this coffee. It feels good. I'm not gonna lie, it's 4:30 in the morning right now, so I'm friggin' exhausted. and I'm just waiting for that golden sun to rise on my shitty little city I'm living in right now, so that I can finally gain some power and get out of here. So let's get into things. It's been like 5 minutes, a little banter, and I'm not very much use for anything else until I actually get into the topic, because I'm just talking to myself into a microphone right now, and we all know that I'm not actually interesting. So you're all here to learn about a video game, but still you're here to learn. And as your teacher, I would like to tell you that you're all excellent. And that we're going to be learning about a very fun JRPG made by Nintendo. So, what is Golden Sun? Golden Sun is a JRPG made by, Camelot Systems or Camelot Strategies. I'll find out in a little bit as soon as I get to that part of my notes. It's a Game Boy Advanced game series, and the first game came out in 2001, followed very soon in 2002 by its sequel. And let me get into my history of this game. So, I actually still have number 2, which is Golden Sun, The Lost Age, for my Game Boy Advance, actually sitting right here, right next to me. My red clamshell design Game Boy Advance. Actually, I'm going to click this on really quick and give you all a little taste of that nostalgia. Ooh. Okay, that's all I'm going to give you so I don't get flagged for any sort of copyright infringement. Hopefully you guys can hear that. I'll probably go back and edit it so it's a little bit louder. But yeah, so I have that sitting right next to me. I've had that actually since 2002, if you can believe it. Well, not the clamshell. That's been a little bit later than that, but still. I had it on my original Game Boy Advance, and I have it on my new one. Well, new is a very relative term because I've had that forever too. But yeah, I originally actually got it on a trip whenever I lived in Florida for school, and we were going to be on a bus for hours and hours going to the capital of the state that I lived in at the time, which was Florida. So we were going to Tallahassee, I think, to visit City Hall or some shit like that. I don't know. All I know, it was a fun field trip, and it's one of the couple of games that I got, including Monster Rancher. Yeah. But I never beat that as a kid, partially because when I started it, I realized it seemed more like a sequel than the original game, even though it kind of gives me a screen crawl. I did play through a little bit of it, though, and I looked for the original. I don't think I ever got it as a kid, but I did get it like a year and a half, 2 years ago for my not my Switch, my Wii U, and I played through the entire first game, and then I started playing through the second game not too long after that. And, yeah, I've been fucking loving the shit out of that. That was like a year ago now, I want to say. And, it's so good. It's such a fun game. Especially, like, even for something that came out in 2000, 2002. I'm really, like, surprised at how crisp and clean it is, even on such an old system. Which I know sounds weird because it's only 2018, but that's still, like, almost a full 2 decades there. But yeah, so I'm working with my my friend right now, Swa, to get some little transitions for this. But right here is where I would do like a transition for the origin of. And this is going to be the origin of the game. So the game is made by 2 brothers, Hiroyuki and Shugo Takanashi. No, Takahashi, sorry, who worked for Camelot Software, and was designed for Nintendo. It was originally designed to fight against the RPG machine of the time, the first PlayStation, and it was going to be one game, but with how big they wanted to make it and the restrictions they had, they ended up splitting it into two separate games. Originally, it was going to be designed for the Nintendo 64, but they had also just recently announced that they were going to be creating the GameCube. So they decided to put it on the brand new fledgling system of the Game Boy Advanced. And with that, they ended up, of course, then they split it into two different games. One where you would follow the protagonists, and then one where you would follow the antagonists. So Golden Sun and then Golden Sun: The Lost Age. It was supposed to be developed like relatively quickly because it was a handheld game, but it ended up having an 18-month development cycle, which was almost unheard of for a handheld system. But it's because they went into a shit ton of detail, like crazy ass detail, especially for such like a small system. It was a 32-bit system, but like they were able to add into the little things like birds flying off whenever you would approach, or like just things falling whenever you would get to a certain point and stuff like that. And it was like super amazing. And then eventually they made a game for the DS, which had a bigger development group, but wasn't as well received. But I'll get into that a little bit later. It was heavily inspired by previous games that they had developed, such as Beyond the Beyond and Shining Force. Beyond the Beyond is kind of known as a spiritual prequel, I guess you could say, to Golden Sun, and then Shining Force is kind of like the inspiration of where they got the idea to do story from both the hero and antagonist parts of the world. I guess you could say that. And then, gameplay. So the gameplay was, of course, like traditional top-down JRPG. It had a lot of really interesting puzzles that used not only like overworld physics, but it also included like spells you could use, like spells using synergy or synergy or however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to say synergy because it's like PSYNERGY, so synergy, like I know what I'm saying. It all makes sense to me. Everything I'm going to say it how I would normally say it, because I've been watching videos on this all week, and literally no two people have said it the same way. And I'm just going to say it how I feel like feels the most natural. So synergy, which is the magical psionic energy of the people of the world. But it also had like spells that you could cast in which you could affect different things on the map, like ice spells to create pillars on puddles. You could do the move spell to move blocks and different pieces. You could actually jump over different obstacles as well, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it also had this very interesting djinn mechanic. So there was djinns and genies. So I know a lot of people have been mispronouncing this because these actually come from mythology. So a djinn is the single verbiage of, or it could be multiple, but like a djinn is a mystical being of elemental power that in some mythology could grant wishes, stuff like that. Especially like it's what Genie from Aladdin would be. So he is a genie. It's just spelled differently because traditionally it's spelled with DJ instead of a G. So it's Djinn or Djini. I've noticed a lot of people pronouncing it like Ginny or Jinai. And I'm just like, really? Do you not realize that it's Genie? And yeah, it just kind of bugged me. But yeah, you could use these little collectible creatures that you could find all throughout the map and all in like different dungeons and stages called Genie that you could equip to your characters and gave them different stat boosts and little elemental energy not cubes, but spheres they could use to power special attacks and summons and stuff like that. It was super cool. Very customizable combat. Which of course it was a turn-based strategy RPG on top of a top-down puzzle adventure game. It was really cool, like very inventive, and as well as like it had an amazing story to go along with it, especially the rich mythology. But now let's get into what I would call the main segment of this topic, the story. And I would have like a little segment right here. So just imagine this for the future. The story. Golden Sun, the original Golden Sun. I'm only going to be going over the first two games because the third game is its own thing, I want to say. It doesn't have any... it does, but anyways, I'll get into that later. I'm just going to go into the first two games for this episode. Starting off with Golden Sun. It starts the game with taking place in the world Wayard. It's a massive flat Earth style world where alchemy, which is basically just like extreme elemental magic, was sealed away to stop the dozens of wars that man fought over it. And that's kind of like what starts the entire thing. Because 3 years before the actual story begins, a pair of adventurers try to unlock alchemy again. And they are named Saturos, and Mindari. Sorry, like reading this stuff and imagining how it's said is a little bit weird because they're not normal names. But these guys also end up being like the main antagonists. So they, with a group of random people, raid the mountain temple that the 4 elemental stars are held in. And they end up failing miserably, and they trigger a trap that causes a huge thunderstorm and rock slides to start. Down below in a little town called Vale, they are feeling the effects of this. And this is where the prologue starts, where you as a child named Isaac attempt to stop a friend of yours, Felix, from drowning in the river. And you're going through you're partnered with your buddy Garrett, and you're trying to find someone to help save him. But as you travel, you end up getting like blocked off at every path, and you end up actually witnessing a boulder crash into the bridge, taking away your father and Felix. Then the 3 years pass, and you're once again older, and you're practicing to be an adept, which is basically this world version of someone who can use psychic abilities. Like, that's the easiest way I can describe it. Let's see, where was I? Current day. So you and your best friend Garrett are you just kind of bumbling around town, eventually teaming up with Jenna, I should say, and your teacher, Carradine, to go on a trip up to the mountain to discover what kind of secrets it holds, which you guys kind of have an idea that the mountain holds the 4 elemental stars, but you don't really know what that is, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the same time you're doing this, the evil guys, or I should say quote-unquote evil guys, are also once again raiding. And you find out that the boy you guys failed to save, Felix, is actually teamed up with them. And you guys make it through the dungeon, where you guys meet up with the antagonists, who then force you to go around and collect the 4 elemental stars of Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, which are fire, water, earth, and wind. But after collecting 3 of them, the volcano, and they take them from you. The volcano starts to erupt, and they run away and kidnap Caradin and Jenna, who Jenna is actually Felix's little sister. I forgot to mention. But yeah, they kidnap them, and you end up getting saved by only way I can describe it is a beholder without tentacles. So those who don't know what a beholder is, it's a giant floating thing that's basically just an eyeball. Yeah, they're magic. But he's known as the Wise One, and he instructs you to stop Satoros and Minardi from lighting the 4 elemental lighthouses and bringing alchemy back into the world. So, of course, naturally, you have to agree to go along this, which is funny. If you actually fail to, or I shouldn't say fail, but if you deny to take on the quest, it's an automatic game over, but it allows you to start the game right back so you can actually accept to take the quest. It's kind of funny. Going on from there, we have you begin your journey. You and so Isaac and Garrett start off on their journey to stop the 2, or should say 3, from lighting the lighthouses. And you encounter 2 other people along the way who are named Isaac and Mia. And like almost right away, you guys fail. You get to the Mercury tower to stop them from lighting it, and they've already lit it. You end up chasing them all the way to the Venus lighthouse, but are almost like right again, right away failed. Like, that doesn't make sense. You fail almost right away again. But when you encounter them, they fuse into a giant dragon, and you end up fighting them. Eventually, you kill them, and they fall and die. Felix and Alex jump off of the tower. You also find out that they kidnapped an adept named Sheba, and their friends, and they go off to light the last 2 of the lighthouses. And this is actually where the first game ends. You only went through 2 of the towers, where you failed both times, and it turns out that that's only half of the game. And it goes into now Golden Sun, The Lost Age, which picks up like almost literally at the end of the first game. With a little bit of a screen crawl, you get to, pick back up on the story, and you now play as Felix, Jenna, Caradin, and Sheba. And now you seek to finish what Satoros and Mandari started, which is lighting the 4 lighthouses. So in order to get to the other 2 continents, Felix and gang find a way to clear the name of this guy who's an alleged pirate. Did I remember his name? Did I really forget to write this guy's name down? It's like Pisari or Piari or Pyra or some shit like that. Wow, I can't believe I forgot to write down his name. Anyways, you clear his name, and he gives you his ship to use, in which lets you guys go to your next location, which is actually the continent, or I should say city, of Lemuria, which, fun fact, so Lemuria is actually the name of a supposed lost continent in the real world, kind of like Atlantis or like the Hollow Earth, and it's personally, I prefer it over the idea of Atlantis, and I really want to see some stories written about it. I don't know if I've actually read any stories written about it, and whenever I heard that they had Lemuria in these games, I got super excited, because, like, it was super funny. Like, oh hey, I know what this is. But anyways, you end up talking to the king and find out that alchemy was actually the planet's lifeblood, so to speak. And without it, it's actually been slowly dying and crumbling down into the abyss. Which makes me think, like, what if it's not actually a flat Earth and is actually just the last little bits of a planet that, like, has been crumbling away into some sort of a magical abyss? I don't know. That could be pretty interesting. Guys, write that. If you need someone to help you write it, I will totally come down and help you guys develop the fourth actual game. Anyway, they make their way to the Jupiter. So yeah, they realize that's what they're doing, and then they make their way to the Jupiter lighthouse, and almost immediately after lighting it, they have, or is it before lighting it? I don't know, but they have to save Isaac and that group from the people that Alex has joined, which is Mandari's sister and her partner. And once you save Isaac, you find out that Mandari's sister, Cursed, actually stole the Mars star from him and is on their way to go light that tower. Felix tells Isaac why they've been restoring the tower's lights to bring alchemy back to the world, and that the reason he started to do this originally is because their families were still alive and being held hostage by Cursed and Prox, who are the two people that Alex had taken partnership with. So the group find Cursed and Prox eventually at the Mars lighthouse, and before they get to the Mars lighthouse and get the Mars star back, but at this time, they had been transformed into some mindless dragons. Man, there's a lot of people getting turned into dragons here. And eventually they're slain, and they go to the Mars lighthouse to relight it. But they are then stopped by the wise one, who tells them not to light it and threatens them, telling them that humans will destroy the world given this power. But they're like, nah, dog, we need this power to save the world. And he's like, well, fuck y'all. I'm going to summon something bigger for you guys to fight. And summons King Ghidorah. I mean, it's not wrong. It is kind of King Ghidorah. It's a giant three-headed dragon that they have to fight. They eventually, of course, slay that dragon, and they release what is known as the Golden Sun, which is a manifestation of alchemy. Alex ends up trying to take this power for himself, but the wise one was wise and predicted this event was going to happen and prevented it from happening. And as they do this, Alex is then crushed underneath the mountain as it is brought down, and magic is once again restored, or should I say alchemy was once again restored to the planet. So yeah, after doing this, ancient lands and civilizations started to come back, and several new races had been born, including demi-humans, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that is the end of the original Golden Sun games. Excuse me, a little bit of a hiccup there. Yeah, so these games, they were originally designed to kind of just be like a base for a world. Sure, they were extremely rich in mythology, and they were a little bit dialogue heavy, some people have said, but they're also some of the best games ever made for Nintendo systems. Like, they're ranked in the top 100 games made for Nintendo of all time. I think like around the 30 mark range, which is friggin' amazing, honestly. Like, seeing as like Nintendo's put out hundreds, if not thousands, of video games. But yeah, like the rich mythology of this is just amazing, and I would love to see more. I mean, they made Dark Dawn, which is panned by a lot of people because they didn't realize, like, honestly, what happened after the Golden Sun was released. Which I guess I kind of understand because the games are a little bit, they're on Game Boy Advance, so they're limited in what they can show. But I also understand that, like, it takes place 10 years after the first one and goes into their kids, but their kids seem like they're a lot older than 10 years. But yeah, like, it's so cool, and I would love to see more games made in the world of Golden Sun. Like, Wayyard is such an interesting, like, land that could be explored. Like I said, you could do a whole thing where it turns out the world is actually like a giant planet that got just slowly chipped away. I don't know. It's super interesting. I really enjoy this game. I might actually go back and play them. I really want to go and play Dark Dawn, even though it is kind of critically panned. And I have my 3DS, so I could play it. But yeah. Like, it was super fun getting into this. I know I didn't go too deep into everything. I've been trying to keep these a little bit more, manageable, especially after the BlazBlue incident. I'm never doing that game again. Like, I love it, don't get me wrong, but that was a clusterfuck, to say the least. But yeah, so, that is the original games in the Golden Sun series. I really hope they get more. So supposedly, they're going to be putting Isaac into Smash Brothers Ultimate. I really hope they do. That'd be super cool because he was an assist trophy back in Brawl, and they took him out, but they might put him back in. There has been a lot of talk lately about more Golden Sun, which gets me really excited, which I really don't want to be disappointed. I want more Golden Sun, guys. Bring me more Golden Sun. Anyways, it is plug time. Thank you, Drift Away Coffee, once again for your amazing free coffee samples you have sent me. And remember, you guys can follow me on all social medias at Not Coffee. That's coffee with a K. You can follow the podcast on all social medias at Nerds on Topic. You can follow the lovely DJ Swa, who does all my music here, at Swa Music on all Swa Music on all social medias, and you can email us at nerdsontopic@gmail.com. Please, just share the show with a friend of yours, and hopefully they'll share it with a friend of theirs. Just get these episodes out there. I want to be able to do this more and more. I'm probably going to be starting a Patreon soon so I can help pay for everything that I do here. I want to start doing some YouTube videos and stuff like that. So, just keep an eye open for that. I want to do a lot more, guys. Anyways, thank you all for listening. This is, once again, the Solo Nerd, and this is Nerds on Topic. And remember, this is not the podcast you're looking for. Bye-bye.